Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us this Tuesday afternoon for our Moving in Schools comprehensive physical activity programs that is being presented today by Action for Healthy Kids and our national partners, Let's Move Active Schools. My name is Hannah Laughlin, and I'm the Senior Field Manager at Action for Healthy Kids, and I'm so thrilled to be with you today and be kind of leading the webinar from an Action for Healthy Kids standpoint. I'm also so happy to have Pam Powers, who is the Senior Manager of Physical Education and Physical Activity from Let's Move Active Schools at Shape America, joining me today to tell you a little bit more about the Let's Move program. Before we get started, let's review some logistics. Once you're logged in, you'll see a control panel, usually on the right side of your screen. And you can use either your telephone or your speakers to listen to the presentation, but everyone will be muted to avoid static and background interference. You'll see on your dialog box at the bottom that there is a questions box. You can type any questions that you might have as we're going along through the webinar directly into that questions box, and I'm going to be answering them throughout the webinar as well as directing them to Pam after the presentation. So please remember to enter any questions you have there so that we can make sure to get them answered. The webinar is going to be recorded today. We will have links to the recording and handouts sent out to you tomorrow. So if you're not able to stay for the whole time or you want to share the presentation with other coworkers on your school health team, you can go ahead and forward that link and share it after we finish up today. So let's get started by giving you a little bit of information first on Action for Healthy Kids. Action for Healthy Kids is a national nonprofit that fights childhood obesity, undernourishment, and physical inactivity by helping schools become healthier places. We are a network of moms, dads, teachers, students, schools, and community leaders, as well as school wellness experts who have come together to create healthier learning environments for children. We believe that everyone has a part to play in ending our nation's childhood obesity epidemic, and our tools, programs, resources, and national partnerships, much like the one with Let's Move Active Schools, make this possible. Action for Healthy Kids was founded in 2002 by former Surgeon General David Satcher. Today we have more than 90,000 members and also partner with dozens of professional associations, government agencies, corporations, and other partners at the national, state, and local level. We come together with a goal to create healthy school environments where children learn to make healthy choices from the minute they walk in the front door the minute they leave at the end of the school day. And hopefully those choices that are learned in schools are carried over into the home environment with their parents or their family members as well. So why physical activity in schools? The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, also known as the CDC, recommends that kids get at least 60 minutes of physical activity a day. They recommend that this 60 minutes of physical activity includes moderate to vigorous levels of activity, and that really at least half of this time, or 30 minutes a day, be provided by schools. What we know nationally across the country is some schools are doing great at meeting 30 minutes a day, while others have minutes of physical activity over 60. So while children are in school, they are reaching that goal. But we also know there are many schools across the country that are struggling to get those minutes in. So when we say comprehensive school physical activity, what do we mean? A lot of times when we think about moving in schools, we kind of get siloed into thinking about just physical education or PE classes. But let's remember that physical activity is really more broadly defined. It's anything that gets your body moving. It could be walking, biking, sports, dance, house cleaning, walking the dog, walking cattle if you're in a more rural area. So really anything that gets your body up and going. So when we think about physical activity in schools, in addition to PE class, we also need to consider other places where schools can provide physical activity times, including recess, with fitness breaks, with classroom energizers throughout the school day, through classroom learning opportunities that incorporate physical activity, before and after school programming, field trips that include physical activity components, and even establishing a walk and bike to school program. All of these kind of components can be added up to make your school's comprehensive school physical activity plan, or CPAP. Today we're excited to be teaming up with Let's Move Active Schools for this webinar. Action for Healthy Kids teamed up with the Let's Move Active Schools group in April of 2004, bonded by a mutual goal of turning the tide on childhood obesity. Through our partnership, we both work to raise the awareness of how physical activity improves academic achievement, while also working to grow the number of schools with physical activity and physical education policies, programs, and environments. Let's Move Active Schools is a comprehensive solution aimed at bringing physical activity back to America's schools. And Action for Healthy Kids' expertise, reach, and impactful resources are key assets in the collaboration, enhancing Let's Move Active Schools' ability to deliver schools with a customized action plan. Both Let's Move Active Schools and Action for Healthy Kids provide evidence-based competencies in one or more of the comprehensive school physical activity areas, which you see listed on this screen. After schools complete the Let's Move Active Schools assessment, they are matched with resources and programming to help strengthen areas that are listed where we really need schools to focus on. Comprehensive school physical activity plans include information on how the school will address and resources needed for high-quality physical education, physical activity during school, physical activity before and after school, staff involvement, and family and community engagement. So Pam from Let's Move Active Schools is going to dig deeper into these 5 components of the Comprehensive School Physical Activity Plan during the rest of the webinar today and tell you a little bit about the resources that Let's Move offers to implement one. But really quick reminder on why we care about physical activity in schools. Research shows that physical activity has a positive impact on academic achievement. It leads to more focused classroom behaviors like concentration and memory, and it is related to improved mathematics, reading, and writing test scores. In other words, healthy kids are at an academic advantage over unhealthy children. During today's webinar, you will walk away understanding the importance of physical activity in schools and its connection to learning, and the background information on why physical activity in schools is important. You'll gather ideas and strategies on how to take action and hopefully be able to take some of those strategies away for making your program more sustainable, which is a critical piece in transforming your school's wellness culture in the long term. I'm now going to turn it over to Pam Powers, who's going to tell us all about Let's Move Active Schools and the resources they have to make a cultural change.
Thanks, Hannah, and thank you for having me on. I just want to start out by saying that this partnership has been such a valuable resource for schools and school districts across the United States, and getting to know Action for Healthy Kids better and what they do and how they really are out there supporting schools in this endeavor and through this initiative has been really, really, really valuable. So Hannah, if you'll go to the next slide. As Hannah discussed before, the things I'm going to review are going to show you how we have this common ground and how we both are working at this same place And we're really coming from it at the same angle about, you know, what really is this view of schools today, and really helping schools to find these answers for them. Then we'll discuss a little bit about why it is that kids really need to be active for this 60 minutes a day, and really how we can help schools to reach this, either at an individual level or more of a community-based endeavor. And I'm going to dig a little deeper into it, as Hannah mentioned. I'm going to go through a little bit of the step-by-step process and show you how easy it is really to become a Let's Move Active school. All right, Hannah, if you'll go ahead and start out with the next slide here. So let's start out and look a little bit at the problem. There are about 100,000 public schools across the United States, and that equals this number of how many students there are within our schools. All right, Hannah. And what we do know is that kids love to be active, and our bodies are designed to move. We're meant to be in motion, and we're really not meant to be in one place for long periods of time. Go ahead, Hannah. And what we do know is that, unfortunately, this number is that about 66% of our kids are moving less. And the research shows that this is really an astounding number, and also that we need to get kids more active. By the age of 15, American kids are 75% less physically active than they were at age 9. We also know that if you think about the school day, and any of you that teach in an academic setting, if you think about when kids get to school and when they leave, I had students in my class who would come in, and they'd be in an extended day program in the morning. They'd come in at 7:30, and then they'd be there all the way till 6 p.m. So that means they probably spent with mom or dad maybe an hour in the morning and then a few hours at night before they went to bed. So we have a major responsibility in our schools to really help find a majority of these 60 minutes. So what we do know is that if we want to have active schools, we're really going to need to have the kids active, but we also need to have a more active environment for them to be in. So let's talk a little bit about what that means. The idea of an active school means that the kids are active before school, after school, and during school. That's where those 60 minutes come from. And an active school incorporates this throughout the day and keeps them active. Since youth spend such a significant portion of their day in our schools are really well positioned to provide this time for them. And we ask, why is 60 minutes so important, and what's the magic in this? As Hannah mentioned also, according to the Physical Activity Guidelines for Americans, which was developed by the CDC, kids need at least 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity each day, and this helps them to be strong, happy, and healthy. So what does this lead to? We're going to have higher test scores. We're going to have improved attendance and increased focus. Who likes to hear these sorts of numbers? Well, definitely our administrators love to hear these things. Teachers love to have better behaved students. We also really want to see that we're trying to move this needle on childhood obesity and change this epidemic. And then what this is going to do is reach out into the families and lead them into a lifetime of being healthy and happy. Because what we do know is that active kids are going to do better. So let me tell you a little bit more here about what Active Schools, Let's Move Active Schools is about, and how we come in and make this part of that. Let's Move Active Schools is a national solution, and it's the idea that 60 minutes of physical activity a day is the new norm in K-12 schools. You might have heard of the First Lady's Let's Move initiative. Let's Move Active Schools is the physical activity branch of the national movement and helps schools develop and cultivate learning environments where physical activity and physical education are foundational to academic success. Let's Move Active Schools was launched a little over 2 years ago with the vision to be sustainable for the long term. And if you take a look at all of our partners and how we're doing that, Let's Move Active Schools is powered by a national collaborative of 20 and always growing health, education, and private sector organizations that are striving to be and bring the positive benefits of physical activity to every child across the country. And these organizations have teamed up to combine all of their resources, expertise, and their bandwidth to help schools create these meaningful, sustainable change, and also to cultivate an active school environment where students are moving. This is really an idea and gives you a better overview with this graphic of all the people who have come in. Since I started with the initiative over 2 years ago, this screen has changed and grown to at least double all of the partners that have been involved. So how does Let's Move Active Schools actually work? This is how it is going to be your secret sauce, as we like to call it, to ensure that you're that with this innovation and this sort of go-to health and physical education and physical activity works with you. Let's Move Active Schools has one of the biggest issues for health and physical education educators, and it's the overwhelming amount of physical activity and physical education with resources, program, and funding opportunities to choose from. And with so many different programs that come at you, sometimes schools are not sure what to choose. And so what Let's Move Active Schools tries to do is to help schools really figure out and develop really a customized approach to their needs and what they really need to make that happen. And so once a school goes through and looks at all of these things, it will develop that customized plan for them. So now let's talk about how Let's Move Active Schools really helps schools and districts to shift this culture and integrate physical activity into the school day. In addition to simplifying the selection of physical activity and physical education resources, programs, and delivering you that customized action plan, Let's Move Active Schools helps schools and districts become an active school by creating their individualized solution. So we understand how every district has unique needs. That's why there's really not a one-size-fits-all solution. Instead, we help schools to conduct a thorough examination of their physical activity and physical education environment by using an assessment tool. And this assessment tool comes from the CDC School Health Index. It's about 9 to 11 questions depending on your grade level. And a school can complete this in usually about 5, maybe 10 minutes. As I mentioned, it's really rooted in evidence-based. And so Let's Move Active Schools adapted the focus from the CDC School Health Index for that reason, because we really wanted it to be evidence-based. And the action plan identifies any of the deficiencies where a school may have an area of strength or if they have an area of need. And so once they fill out the questions, that's what pops out on the other side for schools. As Hannah mentioned before, she was talking about what comprehensive school physical activity looks like. And so within this is a different graphic for you that shows you those 5 areas. Now when you look at it, you see one that's in red, and that's the physical education, because we believe and are strongly rooted in the idea that quality physical education is the cornerstone within the schools for this 60 minutes a day. Physical education should not be the only place this is found. In fact, research and studies show kids should move throughout the day. And so where all this comes in is that we're looking at the teachers who teach other subjects within the school to have the kids moving as well as seated, but that there's a balance in there and that we don't have kids just sitting all day long. We also want them to be involved in before and after school activity, getting ready in the morning to learn, and have them active after school if they don't have something they're going to where they have a physical activity. The other part of this is really engaging people within our community, whether it be YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, and other community people that are around that can help support to bring in this extra physical activity needs, as well as having the family understand. Because if we really help families understand the importance of moving and the importance of physical activity, we're more likely to have healthy moving children also. We, as I mentioned here, we're really looking at elevating the role of the physical educator, because we really want them to be the cornerstone. They have the expertise and knowledge to carry forth this action plan and to really help guide schools and or school teams. So if any of you have wellness teams already at your school, they are the perfect group to really get this put in place with Let's Move Active School. This also is an opportunity for us to look at how being physically active can raise and help academic performance. There are a number of studies out there that show that there is a strong connection. In fact, there is a wonderful document that the CDC has. If you go to cdc.gov, you'll find it on the link between physical education, physical activity, and academic performance. And so if you need anything that helps you to make your case on this, this is a wonderful support tool for you. So let's talk a little bit about who can sign up, because everybody has a role that they can play and anyone can become a champion. I've really mentioned that the physical educator can, but sometimes within a school or a school setting, there may be a limitation to this. So a school champion could be anybody from someone who is an administrator to a school nurse. It can be a school counselor, but anyone can join and be the leader for this and really help a school to move forward. I'm going to show you a little bit about what it looks behind the scenes. So if you go to the opening screen, this is what it looks like when you first go on to letsmoveschools.org. And up in the right-hand corner there, you'll see a red circle that says sign up. And so that's the button you go to. And once you click that, this is what comes up. And you'll see a map of the United States. Now, what's really cool about this is that all you have to do is push in your zip code for your school or the school that you want to join, and then it will pull up your school. Now, once you've come into the school, it's going to ask you to complete a short registration form. And in there, if you'll go to the next screen for me, Hannah, it'll have a choice between becoming a team member or a fan. Now, the difference in this is team members are people who are going to be working with that action plan. So they're people that could do the assessment. They're people who could answer those 9 to 11 questions about the school and the school environment. A parent or a community member would be much better as being a fan. You can watch the school's progress, but you just don't do anything with the action plan or with the assessment. You're there as a support person, as a fan. Now, in the next screen, what you'll see is a snapshot after the assessment has been completed. And so on this one, you'll see it says 100% answered. And then down below, you'll see 3 different boxes talking about adding more people, asking if somebody else, if there's someone else you want to join. And there's a button that you can click to invite them, and it'll send a direct link for you right to that person, which is pretty great. And so in a nutshell, how we look at it is evaluate, activate, and celebrate. Those are our 3 key terms we use with Let's Move Active Schools. The first step is to assess your school. The second is to get that action plan going. But the third, and one of the really great ones, is about celebrating success And so Let's Move Active Schools offers a national award. This past year, we recognized it was somewhere between 500 and 600 schools as nationally active Let's Move Active schools. That means that they met what they needed within those 9 to 11 assessment questions, and then they submitted evidence of what their school is doing to be an active school. On this next screen, this gives you a snapshot of what the evaluation looks like. So when you put in your answer, either if it's gray, as you see with the recess and the question about minutes, that means it's not being met yet. But the blue ones mean that that has been met. And what it will do is it will actually sort these for you, and it gives you information about your school, or your state your school is in, that tells you. So if you answer a question and you say that you're not meeting it, it gives you statistics around that within your own state as well, which I really like. If you go to the next one, Hannah, it breaks down more clearly what I was just talking about. So this question is around whether the school uses a curriculum or not. And so what you'll see is that you have 4 choices within each question. This one, the person has chosen to answer yes, and then down below, it gives you a little reply, and in there it says how great you're doing, which is super. But you'll notice that below it, there are 3 other choices. One comes up as some are using a curriculum, then the next one is somewhat, but a little less, and the last one says not at all, right? So you have these 4 choices within each question. Now in the next box, you'll see what I was talking about, how it sorts your questions. So the one up above, it looks like this school has 4 little items that they need to work on some more before they apply for recognition. And it looks like they need to work a little bit more on offering recess. It looks at the minutes, talking about health-related fitness, and then also the availability of classroom activity breaks, which Hannah had mentioned before, right, as something that's really important. And we definitely at Let's Move Active Schools want schools to have kids moving during the classroom time. So now within it, when it says activate, here in the next screen, what you'll see is that it breaks down for you and offers you resources, which is really great. The Let's Move Active School site has hundreds of vetted resources. They go through a very strict review process before they can be in there. And if they're in there, this is good stuff, and good stuff for schools. And we offer within them at least like some selected ones within 3 to 4 for each one. So this gives schools a great opportunity to look through these. And if you don't want those, you can always go back into the resources and dive a little deeper and look at even more. So now at this point in the process, your school has full access to all of the Let's Move Active Schools activation tools. And we have quite a few things, so let's take a look here. That means that you have this customized plan. You also have access to some really awesome grants that come from about 8 of our partners. And so in this process, these grants are always opening and closing for schools. We give you dates and timelines. Oftentimes, if you're a school that signed up, there are other things that our partners offer, and there's some really cool incentives that will pop up. This year in particular, we have really ramped these up, and we have people ready to go. And so if your school is signed up, those will come back to you through your email that you provide when you sign up. As I mentioned, you have the library of your resources. We also have some professional development opportunities I'm going to go into. There's always the offering of more assistance from our physical education, physical activity advisors and professionals that are associated with Let's Move Active Schools. In this next slide, this shows you all of the different organizations and partners that we're teamed up with that do offer funding opportunities. You'll see up in the left-hand corner our great friends at Action for Healthy Kids and the grant opportunities that come through them, as well as the others here. And so you can read about them on the page for Let's Move Active Schools. We have a grant page, and if you click on each one, it'll open it up and tell you more about the grant and what they offer. So let me tell you a little more about professional development opportunities. Because what's really great about this through Let's Move Active Schools, these professional development opportunities, we have two different professional opportunity strands. One is professional development that comes in the form of customized professional development. And so let's talk a little bit more about that first. So the customized professional development we have can help to accelerate your teaching methods, instructional strategies, and best practices on your way to active school success. So depending on your school and your schedule and preference, the customized professional development can be facilitated either in person, and there's also virtual webinar offerings. The customized professional development areas that we offer include increasing MVPA, which we've been mentioning on this call, best practices in physical education, stuff around standards-based instruction, and then integrating those really important classroom physical activity energizers or breaks, right? And these customized trainings, as I said, they can be in person or a live virtual, and they're offered at no cost. That's the best. Teachers love to hear about free. And so I love to be able to tell people about these. And they're all based on the results of your Let's Move Active School assessment. So once you fill that out, we take a look at that through our spreadsheets and also the inventories. And we can really spot and see where schools are really in need of this in-person help and training. The other professional development we have is called Physical Activity Leader Learning System, or PAL. And so through this, what we do is we really take a deeper dive into comprehensive school physical activity. We have data that we provide that really helps you to make that case. What is it and why is it that your school needs 60 minutes? So we arm you with that. Also, we help to give you and provide you the leadership skills to support the idea of the physical activity and 60 minutes a day in your school or your school district. We also help you to understand and to demonstrate comprehensive school physical activity. And we do a really deep discussion about how this would fit in your school and your school community. And then we really help you to make the pitch or make the case for why in your school would be the physical activity and physical education important. Now, I did offer and mention to you also that we have some on-demand trainings and webinars. And these are designed also to help you fit into your school day. So it's possible that maybe you have 30 minutes and you want to sit down and watch part of one. You can start it, you can pause it, and then you can go back and watch again. But these really are modeled to help you with that 60 minutes a day. And so we have several of them, such as one that's about Let's Move Active Schools, making sense of assessment in physical education, meeting the mark with the Presidential Youth Fitness, moderate to vigorous physical activity 1, spelling it out, activity 2, which is making it happen, and then physical activity 3, disguising fitness. There's another called Promoting Your Physical Education Program and Best Practices in Physical Education. And so we're constantly updating these modules, so you should check back and see what we're offering next. Now let's talk a little bit about the very last aspect of Let's Move Active Schools, which is the celebration part. And we really enjoy this portion and when this happens. We had a wonderful webinar with the winners this year who were recognized as being Let's Move Active Schools, congratulating them. So on the left is an example of the banner that a school is awarded to hang up in their school facility. You're also given a certificate of national recognition, and then you're given a letter of being recognized from the First Lady. This is part of her initiative and part of her her platform. And so these letters and these plaques are so wonderful. But one of the other great things that happens is what happens within your community when you receive this national recognition, because we also give you a media package that helps you to share this message and also share and celebrate your great success in your school and your school community. And that is such a big part, and it becomes this launch pad of what really leads to build a much more active community. As I mentioned before, the website is letsmoveschools.org, and I'm going to turn it over to Hannah and find out if we had any questions throughout the presentation. Hannah, how did we do?
Hi, Pam. You did great. Thank you so much for that fantastic presentation. We do have a couple of questions. We have a question that says, should we be advocating for school districts to adopt a daily mandatory 60 minutes of physical activity for all students? Schools could decide how to allocate that 60 minutes during, before, and after the school day.
So I think that what I have found is that with school districts adopting this idea of 60 minutes a day, that becomes much more of an advocacy piece and an advocacy tool where you get involved people like the school board, the PTA, the superintendent. And so I've seen it happen where a district has gotten that sort of involvement, and what it offers you is the support that you need and the foundation that really helps each of the schools, and you become this huge team that's really behind it. More power in numbers, and I think it can really send a strong message to help make the change. Now within the schools, however they decide to use those 60 minutes a day and meet it is really up to them, designed on, it could possibly be more designed on their school schedule, but I would definitely recommend that there's certain things like having the schools meet the correct number of physical education minutes and then build those physical activity minutes around it.
Awesome. Thank you, Pam. Two somewhat related questions. Can you access these wonderful resources if you're outside of the United States, if you're in Canada, for example? And also, are there any resources specific to preschool?
Those are great questions. So if you are outside the U.S., the way that you access the resource database is being a Let's Move Active school. I don't want to say we're dangling a carrot, but in some ways this is such a great opportunity for the schools that are signed up, and it really has been designed around that and the idea of helping support the Let's Move Active Schools initiative with those resources. There is an early childhood strand around early movement. Let's Move Early Childhood, and I'm not quite sure if I'm saying the name correctly. It's outside of Let's Move Active Schools, but I can get you that information if you want to contact either myself or Hannah, and I'll pass on that information.
Awesome. Thank you, Pam. Will all staff have access to these resources if somebody logs in and creates an action plan, or will they have to share one account?
So that's great also. So what happens with a school when they sign up? So let's say the physical educator signs up first. Then they can also send the link to other people within the school, like let's say a 4th grade teacher. And so that teacher can go in, and what they would do at the sign-in page would say they create their own account, their own password, and so forth. And now the 4th grade teacher clicks join school team because the school's already signed up. They just join the team. So now you're creating this team atmosphere. And that teacher will be able to access the resources on their own. They don't have to go through the physical educator. They have the same access.
Awesome. Thanks, Pam. Can a parent sign up for a school? I know you touched on this a little bit, but do you want to kind of give us a little bit more on that?
And a parent can sign up for the school. I recommend that if a parent goes in and puts in that zip code at that United States page and sees that the school is not signed up. So what it will show is it'll say start school team. I would recommend that you go to the school where your child is and tell them about Let's Move Active School. Show them the website and say, I think that we should start a Let's Move Active Schools team, and I would like to be a member. And so, or rather a fan, because parents really want to be there as the support part of it, and the questions around physical education and physical activity should really be done and completed by the teachers at that school. The parents are vital and very important to this process and can help support and ask how they can fulfill any of the needs that come from the action plan after the questions have been answered by a teacher. So parents, we love when parents sign up, but they sign up as a fan and just make sure the school is already signed up.
Definitely. Are there regional points of contact for Let's Move Active School? Like, I'm involved with Let's Move Cities, Towns, and Counties and other programs in Colorado. So who would my point person be to learn more about what schools in Colorado are already involved and working on?
Yes, that's absolutely wonderful. And so I'm so happy to hear you involved with Let's Move Cities, Towns, and Counties. We're very closely related, and in some cities and states, we have already connected, such as St. Louis. We have a lot going on there. In Colorado, I can give you the contact person for Let's Move Active School. We have someone in every single state. And so Clay Ellis, if you maybe know Clay already, he's involved in the Governor's Council there. He's also in Aurora Public Schools. And he's very involved with the board with Colorado Shape, or Shape Colorado. I'm not sure which way they decided their name. But I can put you in touch with Clay if you just contact me.
Awesome. Thank you, Pam. Getting a lot of questions about who the representatives are for each state. So if you have a question on those specific state representatives, you can connect with Pam after the webinar or send me an email and I will connect you with Pam. And we can get you those contacts so we don't have to name every single state representative on the call today.
Yeah.
Which segment of schools, elementary, middle, or high schools, are generally the least active, and how do you help encourage that population to move more?
Ooh, another great question. So part of getting schools more active throughout the day, if you think about it, I do have to say that in a bigger picture, and I'm really going by what I hear from a number of teachers out there, is it's in high school. Although, when you look at the study and the research, there are many elementary schools where the kids are not moving enough also. Where you have probably the biggest issue is getting the buy-in from high school teachers of various age or various subjects to have kids in various learning environments. So, you know, what we're talking about is even as much as the classroom environment is divided up. Maybe at some points, take a math class, you have groups of students divided up, and some are working at maybe equations on the board, on whiteboards or chalkboards. Another group is working over in another part, and they're using some sort of physical components of some sort to create other, you know, equations with math, using some sort of movement involved. And then you have another group that's in another spot in the room doing something different. So it's really having teachers understand how this will improve the school environment throughout the schools and throughout elementary, middle, and high. In fact, I'll share with you real quick, I just connected with a district that's in Utah, and the gentleman who's the district coordinator there presented to some of the classroom teachers from across elementary through high school. And he just asked and encouraged them through what he showed, just add 2 minutes a day in your classes and let's see what happens. Well, you know, those of us closely into this and know what happened, the scores, the test scores started to go up. So the administration was so excited, they said, well, if 2 minutes works, let's try 5. That school district is up to 25 minutes that they've taken away from academic learning time. I'm not talking about adding physical education. I'm not talking about before and after. We're talking during the school day, and their test scores are soaring. They have the data and the research behind it to show. It's so exciting to meet people who are actually doing this, and it works. And they keep adding more and more to this, so it really is exciting. And you know, it shows you that it can happen at any level.
Awesome, Pam. That story kind of answered my next question. So I think that was the last of the questions that we have. We will be sharing Pam's email address with everyone so you can connect with her if you have questions in the follow-up email as well. So look for that. She's a fantastic resource. I'm so happy to have her as a partner at the national level and be able to connect with her and bounce ideas off of her. She's been a great resource to me, and I know that she will be to all of you as well. So to stay up to date on more success stories, health tips, physical activity, games, recipes, volunteer opportunities, and lots of different ideas for action, make sure you connect with Action for Healthy Kids on social media. We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Flickr, and YouTube, and we oftentimes connect with our Let's Move Active Schools partners who also have Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest, and Twitter. So make sure that you connect with one or both of us, and we will make sure that you have access to both of our resources. We're going to wrap up the webinar a little bit early today. Just a reminder, we will send out a follow-up email tomorrow with the links to the webinar as well as handouts and other resources, including more information on Let's Move Active Schools, and I will make sure that we include Pam's email address in there as well. But make sure if you want to learn more about Action for Healthy Kids and how you can get involved in our mission or our movement, take the Every Kid Healthy Pledge. It'll help us create a 100,000 person movement to make all schools healthier places. It takes just 10 seconds, and once you've signed on, we'll show you ways both big and small that you can turn your commitment into action to ensure that every kid is healthy and ready to learn. Thanks again to Pam Powers and Let's Move Active Schools today. Be sure to connect with them, take the assessment, get an action plan, and get a comprehensive school physical activity program started in your school with the assistance of Pam, your state representatives, or others in your school community that are interested in getting kids moving today and every day. Thanks for your time today. Have a great day and a great week.